Russell fam, in today's video I'm going to share with you my review of the Fissler Multi Pot. Be back in just a second. Hi, my name is Becky and welcome to our Russell's Loving Life YouTube channel. Here on this channel we talk about homeschooling, homemaking, and everything in between. I'm a homeschooling mom of 2 and I have been homeschooling since 2012. We also have a blog, which is russellslovinglife.com. There I give you tips and tricks and things that I have learned through my years of homeschooling. And if you are new to this channel, please consider subscribing and clicking that little bell notification down at the bottom. That just lets you know every time we upload a new video. And if you are a returning Russell fan, we are so glad you are back. In today's video, I wanted to share with you my review of the Fissler Multi Pot. I have been using it for over a year, and if you have been around this channel for a while, you know I cook with it a lot. And I have been getting a lot of questions about the Fissler Multi Pot, so I wanted to show you some things, walk you through it, how I use it, and I will leave a link down in the description box so you can check out the Fissler Multi Pot if you do not have one of your own. And also I will leave a playlist down there of some of the recipes I use with my Fissler, and I will also leave some up here in the iCard. So now that we got all that out of the way, let's turn this camera around and let me walk you through the Fissler Multi Pot. All right, let's get started. Here is the Fissler Multi Pot. It is a pressure cooker and also a slow cooker. I'm going to scoot it up so we can look a little closer. All right, here we have this little knob that turns to seal or release. Now, if you want to use this just like a crock pot with no pressure, all you have to do is leave it on release and you will see some steam coming out of here. But if you want to use it like a pressure cooker, I mostly use it on the pressure cooker setting. So I always turn it over here to seal. So that is the difference. You have seal for pressure and release, there is no pressure. Now, if you are cooking under pressure, you want to make sure that you are very, very careful when you're cooking with pressure. So what you want to do is you want to make sure right here is the little button that relieves the pressure. You're going to push this down and you see how it moves back here? I don't know if you can see that, but it's on seal. And so it's rocking a little bit. So that is going to relieve the pressure. They'll be very, very careful with this. I always put a paper towel in my hand and I cover this a little bit to stop my fingers because I have been burned before. The paper towel just catches the water. The steam doesn't come over here to your fingers, but there is some water that builds up in there sometimes and it will spurt out. So be very, very careful with that. I kind of learned that the hard way, so that's why I'm telling you about it, but I always use a paper towel. And I did want to show you, we're talking about water. There is a condensation trap back here in the back. You turn it around. It is right here. After every cooking, I always wash it out and it just slides right back in just like that. So this is where the condensation catches. And I'm trying to show you, there's a little tray right here. And this is where the little hole is for your condensation catcher. It will build up in here and go down there so it doesn't run down on your counter. And I have been using this for over a year, and these are some of the tricks and little things that I have learned that I wanted to share with you that I had to learn just because there is no videos out there on how to use it. It comes with a book. I didn't find that very helpful, so I have learned a lot of this through trial and error. And I like passing on things that I have learned. I love my Fissler Multi Pot. I love how it cooks. I use it almost every day. I had put it up in my pantry to get it off my counter, and I found myself getting it down so many times out of the pantry and putting it back on the counter to use it. So now I just keep it on my counter, and I have really put my crock pot up. So I love my Fissler Multi Pot. Now I have used some of the functions on here. Someone has commented a question on one of my videos about me using the slow cooker function mostly. Well, that's the one I use. That's the one I love the most. But let me see if I can get it turned around a little bit. kind of hard to hold a camera and use both hands. So here's the functions that we have. This is sous vide, we have meat and stew, we have soup and broth, we have slow cooking, we have steaming, we have saute down here, we have rice over here, we have beans and chili, we have multigrain, oatmeal, eggs, and then this is the keep warm function down here at the bottom. Okay, and so out of all these functions, let me move it back over here. Out of all these functions, I have used the sous vide, I have used the broth function, I have made homemade chicken broth. Slow cooking is my favorite feature. I have not done the steaming. I use the saute with the top off if I'm browning my hamburger meat before I make a meal. Like if I'm making taco soup, instead of browning my meat in another pot and putting it back in here, I just use this. I have used the rice function. It is amazing. I love it. It makes perfect fluffy rice. I have one of those videos if you're curious. I have not used the multigrain. I have used the oatmeal. It works great. I have not tried the eggs yet, and that's the on-off keep warm function. And you can do yogurt. It's fermenting, sterilizing, cake, baking, and then chicken. I don't mess with those. Just honestly, I just don't. I have tried baking a cake in it one time, and it did not turn out, so I haven't tried it again. It got too done on the bottom and not done enough on the top, and it was kind of iffy in the middle. So I would just rather use my cake in the oven. But anyway, let's get to some of these functions. Now right here, you hit that I hit slow cooking or any button to make it turn on because it is plugged in, and it's stuck on seal. So if you want to do slow cooking, you hit slow cooking here, and the minimum on here is 2 hours. So you can change it to 2 or go all the way to 10 hours. I have not done 10 hours. The longest I have done on slow cooking is 4 hours, and that is if I'm using frozen chicken breast straight out of the freezer, sticking them in here. I'm gonna cancel it because I'm not cooking anything. If you put it on BB66, I'm not quite sure what that's supposed to be, but that is the keep warm function. So once you are done or your timer goes off, it will automatically go over to the keep warm feature. So that way it will always stay warm for you. And let's see, the rice feature, I've done 2 cups. And if you see the P12, that means pressure, and it's gonna blink, and you see it sitting here spinning. That means it is building up pressure. And once it gets up to pressure, then the timer will start counting down. I had to learn that. And then on the sous vide function, I've got a video on that. If you're curious, I've only used it that one time. It was delicious. I loved it, but it was kind of complicated to figure out. There again, you saw the lines going around like it was building up pressure. I think what it was doing was trying to get up to temperature, and it took it a while to do that. The sous vide function is awesome. I just don't like using it because it takes way too long, but the meat tastes delicious. The broth, it was amazing. I just put my bones and all the stuff I wanted to go in there, and it did not take it near as long as I thought it was going to, and it turned out amazing. The saute I talked about earlier, I take the top off and I just use it like I'm cooking on the stove to brown hamburger meat. That's the only feature I've really, well, no, when we were making gumbo, we did it on saute to do a roux, and that was really good. There's a video on that too. Let's see. The oatmeal works just like the rice, kind of under pressure, and that is all I have to talk about on this part of it. So we've talked about all the settings. We have talked about cooking under pressure where you have seal or the release. So let's talk about putting, here is the pot that comes out of this. And it has marks on it, and it tells you, I don't know if you can see that, there you go. You see it has max, it'll tell you that's the max amount of water that you can put in here if you're cooking with pressure. And then if you're down here with rice, it tells you that is the max amount of rice. This goes in the dishwasher. I wouldn't use it if it didn't, because the dishwasher is my friend, being a homeschool mom and having a busy schedule. But there again, I just take this out, and put it in the dishwasher, and it comes clean every time. When I'm cooking rice, I put butter down in it. Make sure you put butter, and it will not stick. And when you're cooking rice, another thing I meant to tell you is, I know most of us are used to doubling the water, but if you are using the pressure cooker to make your rice, you use the same amount of water as you do rice. So remember that. And let's see. Okay, the top is kind of tricky to put on. Move it over here so you can see. It takes practice, and then once you do it, you kind of get used to it, and sometimes I still bobble with it. So what you do is you see this little hook right here. You put it down in the little hole that it has, and then you turn it. And you see how the little knob is in, and as you're turning it, you see it pops out, and you go back over here and it pops in. So this is taking it off, and once you're cooking, it will not come off. See, it won't, unless you twist it to come off. And if you have it under pressure, just to let you know, it will not come off. There's a safety latch in here. There's a safety feature that once you get all of the pressure out of it, you'll hear a click, and that means you can turn it to take the top off. And another thing that I like is, turn it so you can see it. If you don't want to take your top off and lay it on the counter or anywhere, you can just put it in this little hook right here, and there you go. It sits right here. So there again, I have been using this Fissler Multi Pot for over a year, and I love it. I cook frozen chicken. I know I've said that, but to me, it is amazing with a busy schedule that I can put frozen chicken in a crock pot with, say I am making chicken spaghetti. I throw my chicken in there frozen, I throw my Rotel tomatoes, and I put it on 4 hours, and then I come back and I even melt my cheese in here on the keep warm feature, and I make everything in one pot. And I boil my noodles on the stove, and there we go. We have our chicken spaghetti. So like I said, make sure to look up in the iCard and down in the description box. I will leave a whole lot of recipes that I have made over the year with the Fissler Multi Pot. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about it, please leave them down in the comments. I love answering y'all's questions. I love seeing what kind of questions you have, and it helps me actually do better videos. So as always, remember to be kind, be careful, be considerate, and have a great day. Bye.